the mid-2000s, a perfect tornado took over the football world. On the back of 2 European conquests and 2 league titles with the modest FC Porto, José Mourinho had just arrived in the Premier League to manage the newly rich Chelsea. There were many doubters, but his confidence was rock solid. Soon, all the critics would turn to crickets, and Mourinho would further establish his reputation as a serial winner. Multiple Premier League titles, an European treble in Italy, and a record-breaking 100 points to win La Liga. For a while, the comparisons between Mou and Pep were as common and relevant as the Ronaldo vs Messi debate. But fast forward 10 years, and Pep is starting to be considered by many the greatest manager of all time after his tremendous work with Man.City, while Mourinho is currently at Roma and could soon depart to Saudi Arabia, effectively ending his time as a top-tier manager. So, what went wrong? What caused Mourinho to fall off so badly? In this video, we'll dissect why Mourinho failed to become the greatest manager of all time, and make sure you stay until the end, because the last reason will make you feel terrible if you ever hated on this man. So without further ado, let's get right to it. The first reason, and perhaps most obvious, is that he's expensive. During his time at Tottenham, Mourinho was still the second highest paid manager in the world, earning around 17.5 million euros per year. When he left the Prem to join Roma, he obviously took a pay cut, but he's still the second highest paid manager in the division, earning 7 million euros annually. That's a massive amount of money for a club like Roma and for a league like Serie A, where there are currently managers earning less than $1 million a year. But to be fair, his salary isn't the worst part. Mourinho is known for never giving up, and that includes never resigning from a job. So when a club no longer sees him as the best option, they're forced to pay a hefty compensation fee for his sacking. It is reported by various sources that the special one has received 107.5 million euros for his sackings throughout his career. As you can expect, no one wants to take such a massive gamble, especially considering the next reason, which is a decade of failures. For the past 10 seasons, Mourinho's work has been average at best. For many coaches, winning 2 European titles in the space of 10 years would be fantastic, but the expectations he created for himself simply don't allow a manager to spend almost 9 years without winning a single league title. Furthermore, his record of 1.85 points per match in the same period isn't terrible, but then again, many managers are clearly above that level, including Klopp, Guardiola, and even Conte. To be fair, he didn't manage the easiest of clubs with the most solid projects. Chelsea, Man United, Tottenham and Roma weren't doing good before his arrival, and the first 3 didn't decline because of him. You could argue against his current man management skills and the fact that he's not afraid to throw everyone under the bus, including his players, but his tactics didn't cause extra harm. They were simply not good enough to ultimately propel the clubs to a better place and keep them there. In the end, it's still his fault. You gotta know which battles to pick, and in the volatile world of football coaching, your reputation is worth a lot. When you're starting out, you're just a few good seasons away from an elite job, but on the other hand, it only takes a few disastrous stints to completely destroy your aura, which was exactly what happened to Mou and the third reason behind his downfall. Back in the day, Mourinho oozed with confidence. People know his antics in the English press conferences, but I'd like to share his true defining moment as a coach. In 2003, before he had even won anything, not even the Portuguese league, Mourinho came to a press conference with a clear message. It's us versus them. They want to stop us and make sure we aren't in the best conditions to succeed in Europe. We're not gonna let that happen. In normal conditions, we're better and we'll win the league. In unusual conditions, we'll still win the league. And with a hard knock on the table, the future special one had just galvanized the entire FC Porto squad and its fanbase. That emotional manipulation, in a good sense of course, turned normal men into warriors willing to die for him on the pitch if it was necessary. He was a messiah pointing to the enemies, and his players would literally leave everything they had on the field to destroy them, and most importantly, to win for him. He was seen as a pack leader, an alpha male that, even though he could be harsh in training, always had the players' backs no matter what. If you still don't believe me, well, I guess images speak louder than words. But Real Madrid changed everything. Los Merengues are a different beast. They're the most successful club of all time, and there were so many big egos in that locker room. It's incomparable even to his first stint with Chelsea. Ronaldo, Casillas, Pep, Benzema, the list goes on and on. Mourinho, as usual, didn't hold back, and when he had to criticize the players, he would do it without hesitation, but you see, not everyone is going to appreciate it. Of course, he already had several issues with players in the past, but the locker room always stood by his side. However, in Spain, things were a bit different. It's undeniable that Mourinho improved Real Madrid and left the foundation for what would become the dream team that would win 3 UCL titles in a row. But when he was signed, he didn't come to lay the basis of anything. He came to win, to conquer titles after titles, European Dream Nights, astounding wins over Barcelona, and finally ending Los Culés' period of domination, but in the end, he failed. It was his ultimate test, his hardest task, and he fell just short. But the most important thing and toughest pill to swallow was that for the first time in his career, the players were no longer on his side. But even if you could wipe his reputation clean and give him back that arrogant special one aura back, you still can't erase the fact that football has evolved. Gone are the days where getting the 3 points was all that mattered. Clubs are brands that focus a lot on how they're perceived by the mainstream fans. Their football tactics have to be efficient but also entertaining in order to attract the most coveted players and ultimately to keep butts on the seat. Many managers are appointed simply because they are a trendy choice and not because they have actually proven themselves. It's very common to hype young managers like Gerrard, Lampard or Pirlo only for them to eventually crumble under pressure. For every Xavi, there will be various Lampards. And just because a manager is pushing 60, it doesn't mean he's suddenly turned into an idiot. Just look at Carlo Ancelotti or even Claudio Ranieri, who was way past 60 when he won the Prem with Leicester. Although in Mourinho's case, the situation goes a bit deeper than that. Which brings me to the last reason why he never became the greatest of all time, the fact that he simply doesn't care anymore. Sometimes it might be hard to believe, but Jose Mourinho is a regular guy just like all of us that can experience emotions and change his views as time progresses. And there were 2 instances that simply killed his ambition. The first was losing the respect of the Real Madrid players. His exit was a huge blow to his confidence and made him rethink the way he saw his players. While in the early days of his career he would shield them and treat them like adopted children, nowadays he's much more aware that he could be betrayed at any point, so he just adopted a completely different posture. He's very vocal when he believes his players are not on par with his expectations and even criticizes them for being injured. That posture alienated the remaining top clubs that still wanted him, and that's why he's currently at Roma and not coaching Mbappe at PSG. But perhaps the most tragic episode that really changed him was his father's death. If you could pinpoint one exact moment where his behavior changed, was that one. Not only towards his players, but pretty much against everything. He became more pessimistic, cynical, and we've now come to a point where he wants to avoid losing more than he wants to win. That's why he chooses projects like Spurs and Roma. He doesn't have the confidence or the drive to aim for the highest prizes, so he chooses clubs with low expectations where he can become a hero more easily. If I'm wrong, he would leave Roma at the end of his contract and coach any top national team, but he won't. He'll go to Saudi, earn a ridiculous amount of money, and maybe he'll bag a couple of titles there, but deep down, he'll know that those conquests aren't worth the same. Because the Mourinho that I grew up watching would never aim for the low-hanging fruit. The special one that I grew up watching knew that the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. But what do you think? Will he ever bounce back? Will he ever win a top 5 league title again? Leave your opinion in the comments and let's have a discussion. Don't forget to subscribe to Thorn FC so you never miss the most interesting football discussions, stories, and news. Like the video if you want to watch more content like this, and as always, thank you for watching until the end. I appreciate you, and I will see you soon.